future, it's probably the Google Fusion something, or whatever's right after that. But the ability to bring in the standard kind of census data, but then also, a map of, cycle and vehicle, collisions. And then you put on top of that, I don't know, energy usage. I mean, you can just go on and on and on. And so I guess, that's a mashup. But that really, I think, is the cutting edge. So with that said, my presentation is going to be two parts. The first part is sort of about the data. And then because I can't help myself, I'm going to jump in and we're actually going to look at some data. And that to me is really what's fun. Because Austin, as you guys know, is it's one of the greatest places to be a demographic watcher, because so much is changing and it's happening so quickly. So certainly two basic data sets from the Census Bureau, Census 2010 decennial data. As the name implies, it comes to us every 10 years. But the thing is, for those of us who are old, this time around, it's only the short form. And so it's this very limited set of questions. I think maybe there were like 12 questions total. And as we prepared on the city side of trying to get everybody excited about answering the census, and it's important because federal money is tied to the census, then we heard stories around the country like now presidential candidate Michelle Bachmann, who said, don't answer the census. And we found that outrageous because Amazon and Google and your next door neighbor know more about you than the Census Bureau is going to know about you after the big giant 12 questions. And even if you'll remember back in 1999, then Governor Bush said don't answer the long form, which was sort of this beginning of the death of the long form. And to me, it's one of the greatest demographic travesties of all time. But we only have the short form, and we will now get long form data, i.e. sample data from the American Community Survey. I'm finally starting to warm up to this. And those of you in the room who have experience with it, I think you'll know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's maddening that we don't have that long form data that was very, very specific and based on a very large sample of 1 in 6 households that gave us things like median family income all the way to the block group level. We get American Community Survey data more frequently, but there's a big catch to that. You get new data every year for big places, cities that are above 500,000 large counties, and you get a new data shot every year. And so I'm very happy to have that, because then I can go before city council, the city manager, and I can say, look, our poverty rate is increasing, and here's why. But the big trade-off is that the small area data, things down to the census tract level or even the block group level data, they're only going to come to us in 5-year pieces. And so this is what I think is worth dwelling on. Because the sample size underneath the American Community Survey is so small. It's about 1.8% of all households. So imagine a place like Austin, you're going to try and get a meaningful handle on what's happening by just a few little samples. So to publish something for a tract, in other words, what's median family income doing in East Austin, right? We all know it's gentrifying and it's changing, and so we would expect the income to be changing as well. You have to take 5 years worth of data and put it together to prop up that tiny